For this session, we focus on psychoanalysis and beyond. Here's the first timeline, so please pause the video as needed. Now I want to focus on a few specific aspects of Sigmund Freud's work, beginning with his seminal text, The Interpretation of Dreams. At the time, he began treating himself using dream analysis and believed he could access the unconscious by doing so. He introduced the term Oedipus complex as part of his theory of the psychodevelopmental processes. He published The Psychopathology of Everyday Life and expanded the psychoanalytic theory he introduced in his earlier works. He suggested that daily behavior was mediated by unconscious ideas that were trying to be expressed, sometimes resulting in Freudian slips. The idea that one's behavior could be influenced by the unconscious mind was revolutionary. Thus, the unconscious was not a new idea, but his interpretation of it was. Now, 5 years later, at the invitation of G. Stanley Hall, Freud came to the U.S. and lectured at Clark University in Massachusetts. As his theory of personality evolved, it still held that the sexual instinct was the most essential and basic drive. And as you know, he eventually developed 3 subsystems of consciousness: the id, ego, and superego. After her father's death, Anna Freud gained notoriety for her work related to child analysis and defense mechanisms. She established the Hampstead Child Therapy Clinic, which conducted treatment and research, and she had major disagreements with Melanie Klein, a fellow child analyst who we'll discuss later in this video. As is commonly known, Jung and Freud had a major falling out based on ideologies that evolved and differed over time. Though he greatly respected Freud's work, Jung disagreed with him in 2 crucial areas: Freud's overemphasis on sexuality and the idea of determinism. Jung believed that personality was influenced by the past, present, and future, whereas Freud believed personality was set by childhood experiences. In 1912, Jung published The Psychology of the Unconscious, which Freud criticized, implying that Jung was mentally ill. Jung's personality structure was composed of ego, which included the conscious mind, perception, thought, feeling, and memory; personal unconscious, representing experiences that were once conscious, but have since been forgotten or repressed; and the collective unconscious, or modes of behavior that are virtually the same in all individuals. The collective unconscious contained archetypes, or universal inherited predispositions to perceive or respond in certain ways. Alfred Adler developed the idea of the inferiority complex, an unrealistic feeling of general inadequacy caused by actual or supposed inferiority, sometimes marked by compensatory aggressive behavior. Adler disagreed with Freud regarding the central importance of the sexual instinct and infantile sexuality. He also differed from Freud in his treatment style, instead emphasizing insight and understanding of counseling patients and not their sexual instincts. Adler focused on early intervention and child guidance centers, which were early models for current community health centers. For the second part of the lecture, we go beyond Freud's work to learn about those who took psychoanalysis to new heights, setting the groundwork for modern psychotherapy models. We start with ego psychology. Heinz Hartmann developed ego psychology, which shifted the focus of psychoanalysis from instinct to the adaptive functions of the ego. The main idea of ego psychology is that the ego develops as it successfully resolves crises that are distinctly social in nature. To illustrate this process, 2 ego psychologists, Margaret Mahler and Erik Erikson created important theories to explain these processes. Mahler developed the theory of the symbiotic orbit, a principle that described the early development of children in 3 important stages. And please pause the video to review these stages. Erik Erikson then developed the 8 stages of psychosexual development across one's lifetime. And during each stage, the person experiences a psychosocial crisis which could have a positive or negative outcome for personality development. Now we move to self-psychology, and its principal architect was Heinz Kohut. Ego psychology actually formed the basis of Kohut's self-psychology, the main idea being that the individual's subjective experience is key to development of the self. The therapist uses introspection, interpretation, and empathy to promote positive change in therapy, and Kohut noted that the infant needs space to develop new skills and abilities and must receive encouragement and praise for doing them. Next, object relations, a major contemporary offshoot of psychoanalytic theory. Its main idea is that human beings are motivated by interpersonal relationships, primarily within the family and especially between mother and child, as opposed to the sexual and aggressive drives proposed by Freud. The object signifies the person that is the object or target of another's feeling or intentions. Relations are interpersonal relationships and the residues of past relationships that affect persons in the present. Object relations theorists are concerned with inner images of the self and other and how they manifest themselves in interpersonal situations. Melanie Klein was a transitional figure who bridged classical psychoanalysis and object relations theory. She was the first analyst to apply psychoanalysis to children for the express purpose of improving their well-being. She believed that instincts were fueled by the responses of others and emphasized the importance of relationships. D.W. Winnicott provided 3 important contributions to object relations: the transitional object, an object used by a child that bridges subjective and objective reality; holding environment, in which the mother or primary caregiver provides an environment that psychologically contains and protects the child; and the good enough mother, an ordinary woman with adequate maternal instincts that is able to provide a holding environment for the child. Interpersonal therapy was developed by Harry Stack Sullivan, and like object relations, the focus was on interpersonal relationships. However, this therapy model emphasized the important role of the social environment outside the family in personality development. Sullivan argued that the individual's self-identity is developed through perceptions of how he or she is regarded by others. In her work as an interpersonal therapist, Karen Horney developed feminine psychology, which identified gender-based and cultural factors as essential to psychological development. Horney identified 3 important relational components of a neurotic family: moving toward people or seeking the assistance of others, moving against people or forcing one's power over others, and moving away from people, indifference to others. Humanistic psychology is next, and the main idea is a focus on the whole person, emphasizing human behavior from the vantage point of both the individual and the observer. Carl Rogers was one of its chief architects. His most influential work was Client-Centered Therapy, its current practice, implications, and theory. He heralded 3 important therapeutic factors: unconditional positive regard, genuineness, and empathic understanding. Rollo May developed important components of existential therapy, which is integral to humanistic psychology. He was influenced by early existentialists like Kierkegaard, Heidegger, and Nietzsche, and believed that subjective meaning should be the focus of psychology and that humans have free will and the freedom to choose. Abraham Maslow was interested in motivation, personality, and human sexuality. He developed Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, starting with physiological needs and moving to safety, social, esteem-based needs, and ultimately self-actualization. Now, a more recent offspring of psychoanalysis is time-limited dynamic psychotherapy, or TLDP, developed by Hannah Levinson, and rooted in psychoanalysis and based in cognitive science. TLDP offers clients a brief psychodynamic therapy experience that promotes effectiveness and efficiency. The relational paradigm of this model refocuses therapy from there and then to here and now. The immediacy allows the therapeutic work to proceed in a more enlivened, real-time way, promoting accelerated change.